It is 11 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I am Loz here with Dr. Oz and Chelsey Jean, and we are going live for you from our relevant and respective parts of the world, not too far from each other. How are you guys?
Loving today, Loz and Oz. Good to see you.
All good.
Excellent. And today, guys, I hope you've been enjoying some of the weekly chats that we've been having. Today, our topic of conversation is actually all about lymphedema. But before we get into that, quick little intro. So I'm Loz. I'm a healthy habit coach. I have a business called Loz Life, and I help lots of busy people get themselves unstuck from the burden of busyness and burnout. We do that by focusing on 5 simple habits that I call handbrake habits. Those are eating, breathing, sleeping, moving, and hydration. And I guarantee you, when you start to focus on these, you will unleash unstoppable performance, focus, and confidence in your life, in your business, and everyone will notice. And you'll become more confident in lots of things that you do. And we've also got here Chelsey Jean.
Thank you, Loz. Yeah, so live in boob camp today, and hello to everybody else who is watching on our different perspective platforms as well. My name's Chelsey Jean, Booby Queen. I'm all about lymphatic health. I am a naturopath, and I just want to spread the word on lymphatic health and how important it is to detoxify our system so we can live and do all of those wonderful things that Loz teaches us how to do as well. My clinic is in Brisbane in Australia, but I do have lots of channels to catch me online. I sell these amazing gloves that you rub on your body, following the sequence to help detoxify and make lymphatic health fun.
You do put the fun into lymphatic,
yes,
which doesn't actually have an F in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so hi, I'm Dr. Oz, and just going to tell you that you can also hear this on our podcast that I'm posting this every Wednesday as well with the same name. And you can find on Spotify and all these other channels there. Yes, I'm Dr. Oz from Be Vitality. We're a peak performance wellness sector, and we combine different integrative treatments where we combine natural supplements and technology to help you get rid of or reduce pain through controlling inflammation. So yeah, that's us here in Brisbane as well.
And guys, we can see you all, don't have to be face to face. We can have chats with people on the internet, but the world is a big place now. Thanks, Janice, for joining us here live. Thank you. But today's topic is lymphedema. So for this particular part of the conversation, I actually just really like to hand over to Chelsey and to Oz first, and just gain some perspective about what lymphedema might look like. Because, the reality is, guys, we can all just Google what is lymphedema, and pretty much you will get interesting information from Dr. Google that will give you a textbook definition of what it is. But from the perspective of, the clinical space and where you guys work, really just love our audience to sort of learn, what is it that lymphedema looks like? How does it present when they're coming in to see you, Chelsey?
Yeah, so I'm going to lead with a little story, Loz, that's just happened last week. I had a beautiful client come in, and this lady has been through a cancer journey. And unfortunately, people put lymphatics and cancer is the only way that they look at it. They look at lymphatics and look at cancer, and that's not the way I want people to only see lymphatics. But this lady's been on a cancer journey. She did have chemo and a mastectomy, and then opted out of radiation. And when you go on a health journey, she was put into the treadmill of, you see this person, then you see this person, then you see this person. She went off to a lymphedema clinic, and all they did at the lymphedema clinic was take her measurements, put her on a machine, do some measurements. There was no talk about what she could do, body brushing. There was no dietary advice. There was no other advice at the clinic. Her measurements got bigger in her body, because what lymphedema is trapped fluid that can't get out. So whether that trapped fluid be in your leg or your arm, mainly like legs and arms, And that can be from having an accident. I've had one lady, she was riding a push bike and the seat slipped into her groin when she fell, and that damaged the lymph nodes, which means that there was a backup of fluid to get to those lymph nodes and put the process through. So her leg swells. And so there's swelling in a limb that the fluid can't get out of, trapped toxins, trapped fluid that can't get out in the way that it should work. So this lady went back again and had her measurements done, and her arm was getting bigger. She came into clinic. We've done some treatments, and we've now got her arm back to pre-mastectomy, like less than it was before she had her surgery. She's gone to the clinic, and the clinic's it's got nothing to, won't acknowledge that it's had anything to do with massage, won't acknowledge all of the good things that she's been doing. So what you're going to find on Dr. Google is not what we're seeing in clinic. It's not what we see face to face. We see so many different results with lymphedema, looking at manual movement. You have to help your body. So manually brushing your body and helping that fluid move through, whether it might just be deep breathing. So going through chemo and all of that, even touching your body can be sore, whether it is just breathing, whether you've got anxiety that you don't breathe deep enough, or you've got a sore neck, like, or anything that's blocking you is going to cause the fluid to slow down and move through slower. Medications, a lot of diuretics, like medications are going to cause everything to move through slower. So that's quickly my example, like one example of lymphedema. My goal is to not have patients in compression garments all of the time, the tight. So you might be walking down the street and you'll see somebody with a sleeve on their arm. Like my son was burnt quite badly when he was little, and he had to have the compression garments all up around his neck and on his arm. And like, I know as a mum with a 4-year-old in compression, you know, just my heartache for him. So my goal is to get everybody out of having to wear the day-to-day compression garments when you can use the pneumatic compression, the pumps on your legs. And I had my veins stripped years and years ago, and your venous, like your blood vessels will find new routes. And that's what we're hoping as well with the lymphatic system and fluids. So that's a quick example. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, to everybody about lymphatic lymphedema. We have to encourage it. We have to put things in our body that isn't going to weigh us down and cause more inflammation as well. So we have to bring that inflammation down, allow for that flow, but just know that there's hope and know that there is something you can do, because we see it in clinic every day, the changes that we can make. And some people don't know that they have lymphedema, but it's 1 in 3 breast cancer ladies who were going to have either the chemo, the radiation, or the mastectomy are going to have lymphedema, big swelling in their arms, and they are not told or given any education about it.
And I think that's really important to note, is that, guys, once again, question everything. This is why we're here. This is why we show up every single week, to teach you guys that just because you hear something, read something, see something, doesn't mean it's always true or the only way to do things. And we want to be able to provide you with maybe some other perspectives on some things to do. And like the lymphatic system, it doesn't have its own pump. It is a manually engaged system. And I think, Oz, you would have some pretty interesting experience with people who are suffering lymphatic challenges, including lymphedema in your clinic.
Yeah, so there are a few things here. Like, number one is we have to understand that there are different degrees of lymphedema. It's not just one appearance. Like, you can go from stage 1 to stage 4, and all of them look different. You have also to see that there are different situations, like something as simple as bad massage can cause you lymphedema. Like going to one of these deep tissue massage can cause you lymphedema because they block one of your lymphatic channels there. And that's just because the lymphatic system is so sensitive like even those compression garments, if you use one of them that has more compression than what you should have, because we have 3 different types of compression: compression 1, type 1, type 2, and type 3. And for lymphatic system is compression 1. People that needs to, for example, as you say, you have the vein strip, we need compression 2. That could actually block your lymphatic system. And if you are having already problems with circulation, you could also have some problems with your lymphatic system. I find that you talk about patients with cancer, talking about most of the people will have some degree of maybe not lymphedema, but lymphatic blockage. And that's just the first step before you can actually develop lymphedema. And and then the other thing that I like to, this is my experience in the clinic, is that I get patients mostly when they have already complications. It's something that we were talking last week. We say about the role of the patient on how long they wait until they look for help. And in my case, most of my patients get, and they are with complications like skin infections, what we call cellulitis, not cellulite, cellulitis, which is the infection of the skin, like superficial skin, which is really painful. And it takes a while to recover from that. If they keep going with that, like some patients I got, this is when I was working at the hospital, patients that will have the pain, will have cellulitis, they don't go to the doctor, they wait, they keep it like they just think it's going to go away by itself. And then they get sepsis, which is now a spread of the infection. The infection is getting compromising more areas. At some stage, some patients could actually lose one of the limbs because of that. Skin changes, and this happens mostly when they have, for example, vein problems at the same time. And then there's another, like the worst complication, and it's not very common, but could happen as well. It's also cancer from soft tissue because of lymphedema. Yeah. So here, the important thing is you start seeing something different in your body. You have to start, as we said that last week. You need to take that how you call it, like responsibility of saying, okay, something is wrong with me. I have to do something. I cannot just wait and expect that things are going to go away by itself. And to avoid complications. So to me, the most important thing here is once you get lymphedema, is because that's a complication of something else happening before. Yeah. So you don't have to get all the way to lymphedema.
And I think that's a really great segue into, being proactive with your healthy habits, guys. And the reality is, whether or not you have lymphedema or lymphatic system challenges, we all have a lymphatic system. So you need to be proactive in the way that you manage that. And some of the ways, I guess, in where I'm sort of sitting as a coach, where I'm sometimes working one-on-one with clients. It could be in a physical situation, doing maybe movement orientated stuff, whether it's talking to people about their eating habits or their sleeping hygiene, like their sleep routine, or even the way that they breathe and the way that they drink water. The reality is we all have the capacity within the control of our daily routine to improve our lymphatic system through the things that we choose to do in a day. And so if you are getting enough sleep, so with our sleep, we have different stages of our sleep cycle. And some of those stages are actually responsible for helping our body detoxify and move things through. So if you are losing sleep because you're going to bed too late, because you're getting distracted by things, social media, scroll hole, or you're waking up early because you may have a misalignment of hormones or for whatever reason, and you're finding it difficult to get back to sleep, chances are you are losing opportunities in your sleep cycle to drop into those stages where your body can detoxify. And that is a very important thing to understand. If you're living on 4 hours of sleep, you're probably not getting adequate time necessarily where you're going through those stages of detoxification. So super important. And sleep is one of those things where people, it's one of the first things to go when people have busy lives. Yeah. What we eat in a day, big role in terms of our lymphatic health. We want to be filling up on things like fruits and vegetables, very important to get that nutritional density in our foods, also diversities and colors, because that's going to help with our blood. It's going to help with our nutrition. It's going to help with all of the things that will help keep our body buoyant so that we are getting adequate movement of things through our body. Nothing's worse than eating lots and lots of bread and getting super constipated. That backs up in other parts of your body, guys. That affects other parts of your body and your metabolism. Exercise, Chelsey mentioned before, the lymphatic system, it needs manual stimulation to work. It needs manual pump. So massage is really, really great. All of those things are important, but just moving, guys, you'll see me bobbing up and down. I'm actually here on a treadmill under my desk. You cannot see it completely, but I have a walking pad and a stand-up desk. I'm all about making this stuff accessible, guys. So when people talk about pain, I get a lot of people that come to me who want to exercise, but they have lymphedema. They might have lipedema. They might have other forms of chronic pain disorders. There's always a way to be mobile, whether it's something like this, even something like a pedal exerciser where you're sitting and it's a more passive form of movement. Movement is key for your lymphatic system to function optimally. Yeah?
Absolutely. Yes.
Very, very, very important. So there's no excuses. We live in an era where things are highly accessible, but also susceptible to being quite lazy. Never before in human history has there been a time when we've got this verge of artificial intelligence taking over and we're actually almost engineering our own demise because, the next thing is you just sit on your couch and you order all your food. You have robotic vacuum cleaners to do all of this stuff. The reality is that there are lots of things you can do with your movement. And then your hydration is also very important, and making sure that you're drinking enough water that will help flush things through your system. If you're surviving on a single glass of water a day, probably not enough. You're probably getting some symptoms there. So there are so many things you can do on a daily basis to manage this stuff. And compression garments, and Oz touched on this, are one of those things where they are very, very incorrectly prescribed. So I see this running a mobility equipment retail business. We have pressure stockings and we stock them and we sell those to people. The number of people that come in from a doctor who have been prescribed to get compression garments, not understanding the different classes of compression, because you're dealing with something that's like 18 millimeter mercury, which is a very low pressure rating, up to say 35. There's a huge difference there between low class 1 and class 3. And the number of people that come in and go, oh, my doctor told me to get compression stocking. Okay, so then my next question from the staff is, okay, well, what classification, what class? Oh, I don't know. Okay, it's hard to get the right stuff because doctors aren't informing patients of exactly what it is they need. So if you are getting told that a compression garment might be useful to help you, you've got to question everything. Okay, make sure you're getting specific. Ask what size, what type, what compression grading, get it in writing, and take it somewhere where you can actually get that deconstructed so you're getting the right thing. Because as both of Oz and Chelsey have alluded to, you can actually do damage to your lymphatic system by incorrectly using too much pressure. The lymphatic system is a very superficial part of your body. That's why lymphatic massage, it is soft touch. It's stimulating. It's not hard, deep tissue stuff. And you can do yourself more harm than good sometimes. So in terms of perspectives of some of the things that we can do to help. So we've talked about what lymphedema looks like, I guess, clinically. I've given some tips from my perspective. What are some other options that you would consider, Chelsey? Like, so what are your hot tips for helping manage lymphatic health from I guess, a naturopathic perspective?
Here's a fun one. Change your undies every day. Right. So, I mean, the style of undies. So I see so many women who come in and I say, you wear these same undies, style of undies. She's like, oh yes, that's the only undie. I said, I can tell because it looks like you're wearing them even with you not wearing them, because you can see that line of where their undies
VPL, visible panel line, but it's imprinted in their body now, right?
Imprinted. And
that's crazy.
With their legs go up, and then there's this pocket of lymph that sits right at the top of the leg, and then there's a line of the undies. So undies, so one day wear a G-string, one day wear none. Boys' undies are the best. Like, I like wearing boys' undies. Those step-up undies are the most comfiest undies ever if you're going to wear undies. So try to go undieless and bra free. Like this, having these, having your boobs propped up by metal in your bra is terrible, because you're stopping all the lymph has to get to your heart, right? It has to get all up here. And if you've got a big elastic band, even all of the workout gear, if you've got a big elastic band sitting here, you're really going to stop the flow from being able to get up to the top. So yeah, Loz, that would be one of my fun changes, is to change your undies every day, ditch the bra whenever.
Get the girls out.
Yeah, whenever you can. So just loose fitting tops. So I can show you, like mine, I've just got a loose fitting, little top under here. So it just, oops, my microphone liked my boobs. So so changing undies, getting rid of bra, getting rid of restriction as much as you can. So that's probably a fun one that is overlooked.
Great tips, because I'd never think of those. And what about you, Oz? What are your top tips for helping manage the lymphatic system?
Actually, I'm going to talk about the one that you mentioned before, which is hydration. And the reason I talk about this one is your lymphatic system works with water. Yes, not with caramel. Yeah, and that's example I give to my patients all the time. The less water you drink, the more dense your blood is, the more dense your plasma is, the more dense your system is, which means your lymphatic system has to work with all those toxins, with all those things on an environment that is difficult to move. If you have a jar with caramel and a jar with water, and you drop both of them, which one runs faster? The water. Your body is made with 70% of water. It needs water. If you don't drink water, it's going to block your lymphatic system. So first of all, you're not going to get the drainage of all the toxins to start with, and that's going to make your system even more dense and more difficult for the lymphatic system to work. At some stage, it's going to get blocked. Yeah. So hydration to me is the number one thing that you have to do if you want to keep your lymphatic system working properly, and that's going to help many other ways. It's going to help your skin. It's going to help your organs. It's going to help your digestive system. So we don't understand how important is water inside of our body. An example I give is, imagine a day that is really, 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 really hot, and you're just melting down, and you have a shower, and you feel that how comfortable it feels, the water outside of you, right? Imagine if outside of you the water is having that impact. Imagine that water inside of your body, the type of impact that is going to have. Yeah. So hydration to me is a tip that I will give to people. Drink your 8 glasses of water, or whatever, it depends on your body weight and your level of activity and the weather, etc., and make that lymphatic system to work.
And it's such an easy intervention, isn't it, really? And we talk about this, but the majority of people out there don't drink enough water. The number of people that I see on a daily basis, and so we're all sitting here with multiple vessels of water and substances, but it's one of the easiest things that we can fix. So people go, I just forget. Guys, put alarms on your phone to remind yourself to drink. Find a mechanism that's going to remind you to drink. Your body will thank you. Not just your lymphatic system, though. It can affect a lot of other things. Brain cognition, your sense of feeling hydrated and satiated can help with, not overeating and binge eating and things like that. So, there are so many benefits to drinking water. And I think all of the things that we've sort of discussed today are really simple things that you can do. This is not about making it hard, guys. You are in control of your own destiny when it comes to your health and well-being. And, if you start questioning things and start questioning your own things that you're doing in a day, what is it that I can actually do? I was actually having a conversation. I have a radio interview every single Wednesday on a local radio station here in Ipswich. And today, when I got to the station, and she won't mind me talking about this, but my lovely sidekick, she was talking about how she was in a bit of a slump at the moment, like no motivation. And, we actually started to do some interventions because her lymphatic system isn't operating at a great place at the moment. we started talking about some simple things and just getting her to breathe and engage with her breath, getting her to set alarms to take breaks, mental health breaks, setting alarms to drink water. I guarantee her that in a week's time, when she's done that every day and she's allowed herself to come back into control of the things that matter, she will feel 100% better mentally as well. There are many, many benefits to all of the things that we've discussed today. And taking time out for yourself. When was the last time you actually prioritized you without feeling guilty? Because if there is no you, if you do not put your own oxygen mask on before you put other people's oxygen masks on, how the heck are you going to show up to do the things you love for the people that you care about and the community that you serve? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sound fair?
And so the thing here is we're not asking you to change everything at once. And you say this in one of your talks is just change one thing at a time and see how you feel.
Yep.
So
one thing.
Just change your bra. Like use a different bra. See how you feel.
Change your undies.
Or this week, decide that this week you want to drink more water. See what happened. And if there is a positive change, then go for the next one.
Yep.
And the next one, and the next one. It's not rushing into everything because, yes, it's overwhelming, remembering every single thing that you have to change, maybe. But by changing one thing and feeling the benefits of that, you start getting into that momentum of saying, okay, now I want to feel better. And believe me, you get used to feel better.
Yeah.
And
I think we normalize feeling terrible.
Yes. And you don't want to get back. And when you start feeling better and you stop doing that and get back to feeling bad and feeling something bad, you say, okay, I don't want this again. Like it's easier to get back to your positive habits. So
yeah. And I love that you mentioned that. And guys, it can seem overwhelming. And we're talking about things like lymphedema. It seems all doom and gloom. And I know when a lot of people that I've dealt with personally get diagnosed with something like lymphedema for the first time, it's very overwhelming because you feel very helpless. And, you're getting told you have to wear compression stockings and you're like, I live in freaking Queensland. It's hot as bloody hell. But the reality is it doesn't have to be hard. There are lots of things that you can control. And you may find that even if each of those things gives you a 1% improvement, if you eat a little bit more effectively, 1%. You breathe a little bit more deeply, another 1%. You move enough, you hydrate enough, and you're getting enough sleep. That's now a 5% increase in the way that you feel in your well-being. And you can imagine that if you can double that next time and then double that, it's very easy to start stacking those habits up against each other. And you can add extra things in that make you feel good, making sure that you get massages regularly if you do have lymphedema. All of these things matter. And it's about doing one thing at a time, guys, and seeing its improvement. At this point, I'd like to invite any questions for anybody that's here. I can see we've got 3 lovely people joining us live here. And if you are watching this on replay, please feel free to put comments in here. This will be distributed on various channels. We've got it on Spotify, YouTube, also on the Facebook group. Never be scared to ask questions. No such thing as silly questions. We are here to answer any of those. But feel free to unmute, ask questions. If not, though, any closing remarks, team?
Yeah, Loz, there is always all those things that you just ran off of what we can do. I can't see a negative. I can't see a negative in any.
Only excuses.
No negatives in any of that. Easy things that we can do, that we know that we can do. And, and then I would just, because talking about lymphedema today, like reach out to your friends who do have lymphedema, tell them that you do know a little bit more about it now and bring up the conversation and understand it a little bit more with them. So support people that who might be suffering from lymphedema and share the love a little bit. So that's what my little closing remarks would be.
And what about you, Oz?
Listen to your body. That's it. Just listen to your body. If it's screaming, change something. As easy as that.
I love that. We've had actually a few comments in the chat. We've got Jane. Thanks, Jane, for being on here. Thanks. What are my thoughts on roller massage? So, Jane, did you mean foam rolling? Is that what you mean? You can unmute yourself if you'd like. So roller massage, the way that I would interpret that is like a foam roller. So machine roller.
So is that the machine that spins around? It's got all the little nodules in it, and it spins around, and you put your body on it in certain ways, and it massages?
And your butt? Because there's a few places that are doing that now, like that. Yeah. Look, I think these have a place. The biggest challenge with that is it all comes down to the intensity that you decide to apply your body weight to them. So that because it can be ambiguous, I've seen some places that have the rolly thing. Can be great for your lymphatic system, but if you're pressing too hard, sometimes it can cause some irritation there in the fascia. So that's a form, normally things like that, they use those for what we call myofascial release. So that's that sort of connective tissue fascia. You can use foam rollers as well. So I use those with a few clients. I use them when I teach Pilates as well. There are many benefits to that, but I guess the reality is when we're talking about lymphatic system, it is a very soft touch. So yeah, and Chelsey's just mentioned it must be used in the correct sequence. So the reality is that you can go too hard, too fast, and you can actually cause damage to your lymphatic system. So foam rollers can be good, and they can have other benefits. I actually use foam rolling as a tool to warm up when I'm about to exercise. I don't like to use a lot of stretches. There's a lot of science that goes behind that, which we won't get into. But foam roller can be good for just sort of stimulating a little bit of blood flow. But I guess if we're talking about lymphatic health, it could be a little bit too intense. It depends on how you use it, though.
A little comment here on this. I always get asked, because I use a lot of devices to treat my patients, and then they ask me, what if I get this device to do it by myself? There are two things to take into consideration. Number one is the quality of the product that you're buying. Yes, because most of them that are made for home use are not the same intensity or the same quality as the one that we use in clinics to start with. And number two is how qualified you are to do it by yourself. Because yes, it seems that it's not going to cause any complications or absolutely anything, but if you do it in the wrong way, you can actually cause more damage than, it's like auto-prescribing yourself. Like if you say, I'm going to take these vitamins without knowing if you need them, it can cause more damage. It could not cause absolutely any damage, but it could cause more damage if it's not the right thing for you. And the third thing I say on this is, look, if it's something simple, like, as you say, the foam roller or something like that is more gentle, that is not a mechanical thing, like not something that you have to adjust that you cannot go wrong with that one. What I mean is, there are some things that you can use. They won't fix the problem, but every little thing will add a little bit to the equation. And that's not bad. It's like, for example, for cellulite, I get asked a lot about the soft brush. Look, so it's not going to get rid of your cellulite, but it's going to help you with your circulation a little bit. It's going to help with the texture of the skin a little bit. It's not a bad thing to do. If you have the time to do it, do it. It's not going to harm anything, but don't expect that thing is going to change your life. You still need treatment. You still need maybe something more than that if you have already the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah. And I think that's great perspective, guys. And this is where seeing a professional is always a good thing to start with. And making sure that you're seeing a range of different people as well. Because some of us get really fixated on one healing modality, and sometimes it doesn't give us results, and then we give up hope. And this is where trying things can be useful, but you do want to do that under the supervision and guidance of somebody that does that, really, because that's going to help you. And if there's facilitatory things that you can do in between to help you feel better and improve other outcomes for you, always a great tool then.
And a good therapist, if you go to one and if it's out of their scope or they think that somebody else better can help, they should refer. And that's why the three of us get together, because we're all great at our one thing and we can intermingle into others, but we cross-refer all of the time.
Yep. And I love that you've said that. Really good practitioners, people who are acting within their scope of service, they're the people that you want to be talking with. Unfortunately, and I'll use a fitness industry as a great example. I'm doing an accreditation at the moment because I really do value doing what I do well. But there are a lot of fitness professionals out there who do definitely work way outside their scope. I'm very fortunate. I have a very wide scope of service beyond the fitness industry. But, you know, a lot of fitness professionals, they'll try and help people with really complicated issues, but they should really be referring out to, say, an exercise physiologist, even maybe a psychologist sometimes, or a physiotherapist or another allied health professional, but they don't, because they try and fix everybody. But this is where collaboration is really useful. And yeah, this is why we hop on every week. We refer to each other and other practitioners all the time. And I love your comment, Nolene, about me being on the treadmill. I love that you're chatting while you're on a treadmill. I think I would fall off. I actually have turned down. This is actually a walking pad. So it is actually designed for this purpose. It's a small portable treadmill that I can pack up. So it weighs not very much. It can be handled by one person. And then sometimes I sit down, I put my desk down, but it's on a very slow speed, a manageable speed. It's on 4 kilometers an hour. What I love about this though, is when I'm not talking, so I don't want to huff and puff while I'm talking, I'll boost it up to 6 Ks an hour. And in 2 hours of productive work, I walk 12 kilometers in my office, which is crazy. So yeah, great investment. If you guys are interested, I do have details of one that I do recommend. I've had a few of my clients invest in these. They're only a couple $100, but really great way to improve your lymphatic health. Sitting is a sport that our bodies just aren't designed or trained for at the moment. We have to train our bodies to sit well. We should be ambulating. We should be moving. And unfortunately, sitting can also block a lot of those lymph nodes too around your groin. So the more you can get up and be active, guys, even if it's slow or in a controlled environment like this, it's better than sitting on your butt.
Oh my God, you've made me want to stand up.
Yeah, walking around, doing things. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting, guys. Thanks for joining us here live. And once again, if you are here on replay, please field your questions if you weren't able to be here live. We'd love to help you out and respond. You will be able to find us back here, same place, same time, for another chat next week. So I will be not in my office on a treadmill. I will probably be either in the car or sitting at the beach. But I will come to you live, setting everything up. Thank you so much. And we'll see you real soon. Ciao for now.
Bye.